Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. It's a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's a Tuesday edition. That means we'll have Buddy Martin in just a second. We'll also have Graham Hall from 24/7 Sports give us his thoughts. He can let us know what recruits will be here this weekend, things of that nature. If you missed it last night, the Eagles defeat the Chiefs. Chiefs had a lot of opportunities there at the end to win it, but they didn't. And they almost converted a 4th and 16. The Eagles kind of played the same type of defense the Gators did. The guy just dropped it. Let's go to the Tight Number hotline, and we're joined by Buddy Martin from the Buddy Martin Show. He is courtesy of Duffield Home Improvements. Good morning, Buddy. How you doing?
Good morning, Shane. I'm doing good. It's Thanksgiving week. How can you not be doing good? As I told you last night on my show, my favorite holiday of all, and I asked you years, and you said, well, I don't rank holidays. Well, that wasn't any kind of answer. Of course you rank holidays. You know you like what you like the best. You like Thanksgiving because it involves all the things you love. Football, family, food. Shane, I know you're a picky eater. And by the way, I researched cranberry sauce. You said you didn't like. It's one of the most popular dishes there is on Thanksgiving Day. So get with it, Shane. Come on.
Yeah, I definitely don't. I don't eat any of that at all. Actually, it was 4th and like 20, 25, Tony says last night, and the ball went right through the guy's hands.
Wow.
They played soft, and I mean, look, it happens.
Even the big guys do it, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can look at stuff throughout the entire country and question if you want to question it. On YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Neil asked, Shane, do you think Napier using a 2 O-line coaches, or should he drop one and add a dedicated QB coach?
Mm-hmm.
He coaches the quarterback, so I do think we only need one offensive line coach. I don't know why we have two. Makes no sense to me. And then Barone says, do you think Florida should go with a heavy rush attack with number 7, 2, and 17, kind of like Auburn's offense? FSU defense hasn't been good against the run. I mean, you're going to see a lot of runs. There's no question. Florida State does have trouble stopping the run. So Gene says, loves Thanksgiving, but no on the cranberry sauce. I'm with you, Gene.
Okay.
John says,
I don't love it. Huh?
John wants to know if I'm one of those guys that doesn't like their food touching. No. I mean, I know what I'm going to eat for Thanksgiving. It's the same thing every year. So,
but you're a picky eater. You're picky on Thanksgiving. You don't like certain things.
But I go with the dressing, stuffing, whatever you call it. The turkey, the sweet potato casserole is my favorite.
Right.
And then green bean casserole. And I'm good to go.
But you've never lived till you've eaten sweet potato pie. I know you don't like it.
I've tried it. I don't like it. Because
why?
Because it's a vegetable. I can't eat a vegetable in a pie-shaped form.
Okay.
It's just like I don't. Quirky. I love blueberries. I love strawberries. I love apples.
Yeah.
But I cannot eat them. I can only eat them as the fruit themselves. I can't eat them in anything
What's
else.
about the shape of the food? What is that about the shape?
It's not the shape. It's just I don't like apple pie, but I love apples.
Crazy. So, hey, let me ask you this: and when you got dressed for the game and go out in the field, what were your peccadillos? You didn't like certain color shoelaces. You didn't cross up on that. What were some of the things you did? Because all athletes do have some things. You almost got to be a certain unsnap or snap or whatever. What are some of the things that you did?
Well, I never warmed up with a chin strap ever. My chin strap was always left in the locker room.
Why?
I'll give you a note. In college, in my 3 years for Steve Spurrier, I never had a chin strap on my helmet at one single practice.
And Coach Spurrier never said a word.
No, because he didn't care. because a lot of times
Y'all
back
didn't
in
have
those days,
contact. You didn't
back
have
in those
contact.
days, the helmets, people would
Yeah.
have their chin strap, and it would drive him crazy. He's like, just take it off. Just take it off. You don't need it.
Really?
So I
Really?
never wore it. Never wore it. Not one
Wow.
day.
Well, of course, it helps if you're not hitting. That's one thing. You guys
Well,
never
yeah.
hit.
No, the quarterback should never get hit. Um,
Tell Graham Mertz that.
well, in a
Wow.
game, it's a different. In a
I
game, it's a
understand.
different situation.
Shane, was he should he not have done that?
I mean, he's a competitor. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, in hindsight, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't take those hits. Don't try to do that. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember at what point of the game that was. It was a crucial moment.
It was a
and
very
he got the
crucial
first down.
moment. Very
Speaking of
crucial
Mertz,
play. Mm-hmm.
on the Titan MR text line from Josh, he says, "Does Mertz' injury, in your opinion, make it more likely he returns next season when it comes to how well he would do in the draft, and also considering the other elite QBs coming back? We need him to return, in my opinion." I don't know from a draft standpoint. He's not a guy that the NFL guys, because of his,
Right.
he's taller than I am, and I'm a legit 6'3". He's
Mm-hmm.
about 225. He reminds me a lot of Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy was the last guy drafted because he doesn't tear it up in the damn combines and all that. He's just a smart, accurate, knows how to play the game quarterback. And you see what he's doing in San Fran. So I kind of see that with Graham Mertz. I think he's a guy that can last in the NFL for a long time as like a backup or what have you. But we'll see. I don't know if he's going to come back or what. He does have another year.
Why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he? Of course he's coming back.
Well, I mean, some other school may offer him a lot of money to go play for them.
I don't think he's making enough money. He doesn't have to have any more money. He's fine. He likes it here.
Well, buddy, you can't talk for him. He's making like $800,000. He may want more money.
But hey, I can talk for him because I have a microphone. Okay, I'm telling you my opinion about what I think he'll do. I say he comes back next year, and the answer to that is probably does enhance that or the injury. But he's not a guy that goes window shopping every 5 minutes.
Yeah, but he will make an NFL roster when he gets to the NFL.
I'd take be there for that.
Yeah, he'll be there 5 to 8 years would be my guess. Mm-hmm. He's a perfect backup type quarterback.
Well, hey, look, it worked for you.
Yeah, hell, he's a lot. He throws the ball better than I did, and he's bigger and stronger and all that. So, and he's sharp. So, I think he will last a long time in that league. Barone says the rush attack can be there with Brown doing a spread option run offense, wouldn't be able to power run traditionally with Mertz. But you got to remember, Florida State's got a little bit of tape. They know Max is more of a runner. They'll be dialed up for the zone reads and things of that nature.
But those are RPOs. Look, Shane, I'm not a knowledgeable guy like you on football. I did play a little bit in high school. I understand the pressure that a running quarterback puts on the defense. That instant that they pause and think, they weren't worried about Mertz running. When you got to worry about the quarterback running, it's a different kind of game. I'm not saying he's going to set the world on fire, but the fact he can pull up and throw it, he also can run it. I think it's going to be a little something different for FSU to deal with. I think in some ways it gives them a little better chance.
Yeah, possibly. Alan says, I see the Gators are ranked 4th in recruiting. Do you think the win-loss record will cause some commits to change? No, I don't. We'll talk to Graham Hall about that. I don't.
I would think it would.
No. It's all about money now, buddy. If another school's going to put it this way, Auburn, who's a bad football team, is paying more money, and that ain't the record has nothing to do with that. It's just like, buddy, when you're working for the Denver Post and the LA Times offered you twice as much money, you're hauling ass to LA.
Well, nobody ever offers you twice as much money, but I've had offers. I've had offers to go places when I was working for more money. I didn't take it. I liked better what I was doing. Shane, I understand what you're saying about money. It is a huge factor now. It's a different game. I refuse to believe, and if people can call me what they want to, out of step, old guy, whatever, I refuse to believe every player is driven by just money. I do not believe that.
I believe so. I believe that in today's world it is.
All right.
Yeah.
We disagree.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. 1966 HBC beers available at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, Gator Games in the Swamp, select retail outlets. Crisp American Lager. That's 1966 HBC beer. All right, buddy. What are your thoughts? Obviously, we lose a heartbreaker in Missouri, last game of the year. You win it, you go to a bowl. Hell, we go 5-7, we still may go to a bowl. We'll see if enough teams qualify. What do you think about this FSU game?
Listen, I've thought about this team give me a good bit, and I really like this team a lot. I don't. If you're just caring about wins, if you're here just for the wins, well, you're going to be disappointed. And we've told people that, year we did think they'd do better. You picked them to win 8. I picked them. I'm about with you.
Well, I mean, in all honesty, and I know you can nitpick everything. This team, as bad as they've played at a certain point, they should be 7-4.
Yeah, they should be, but that's just how it goes. And I love the effort, Shane, in the end for the fans. And you can't have the championships, and nobody gets to win them all the time. What do you want to see? You want to see your team go out on the field and perform. Look at this team versus Mullen's team 2 years ago. Mullen called them a bunch of independent contractors, okay? This is not a bunch of independent contractors, I got to tell you. And what they do when they go out and lay it on the line, give their ultimate, I love their effort. I'm grateful for this bunch of guys. And by the way, if they do go on and win some games and Billy has a good year next year, it'll be this bunch right here that held it together that deserves a lot of the credit.
Yeah, they've had some good leadership on the offensive side of the ball. This is a text from 941. It's somewhat long. Let me see here. He says, I agree about defense being the problem, but last week on the last possession, we ran what amounted to three drives, negating the fact that Max had already run on Mizzou. And Billy calling just one play with the threat of Max running would have kept the defense honest and maybe opened it up.
Maybe right. But you said last night, Shane, you don't take a chance on that situation when you're playing it down like that, coming down to a field goal and the ETN and running out of bounds kind of screwed that up a little bit. But you're playing that game to win it. The thing people are criticizing Billy for was, they got the world's greatest kicker over there. You don't give a chance to win it that way. Well, they did and have some lapses, but I understand. You said last night he absolutely made the right calls. On
there's not a coach in the history of the game that would not have run that ball 3 times. No, there's no coach. And if there is a coach, he ain't going to be coaching very long because that would be the dumbest thing ever. Look.
Even knowing that the guys that they got a great kicker over there could beat you from 60
I don't give a damn if they have a kicking machine. You still take that chance because, look, we lost the game. There's a lot of things you can look at. We lost the damn game because we let them complete a 4th and 17, almost how the Eagles almost let the Chiefs complete a 4th and 25 last night.
Yeah. Why did that happen? No pressure on the quarterback.
We can't pressure the quarterback at all.
Okay, is that why it happened?
No, I'm just saying in general, the opposing quarterbacks that we've played against this year have not been hit very much, if at all.
But in this case, situation right here, what was it? Was it the wrong kind of defense?
No, I haven't watched it a lot, but I think poor Manny Nunnery, he has the hook curl in that drop and didn't get deep enough. But but still, it just baffles me how people think that we should have thrown that football in that situation with a guy who's not a very good thrower and hadn't played hardly any football at all. He played about 10 plays of college football. It's just ridiculous.
But Shane, you got to understand, you're way above us in terms of knowledge about
football. No, buddy. If the average person that doesn't know a whole lot about football knows when they hear the commentators on TV helping them understand what should happen, you can't run out of bounds, and that's what a lot of people are saying. Yeah, ETN made a huge mistake, but it's over with and done with now, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Justin says, hard to believe the HBC would put the game in the hands of 100-something ranked defense. Look, I love the man, but he is also a very smart football coach and coaches the way the game is supposed to be. There's no way he throws the football. No way.
Yeah, he showed that he threw the ball over the yard in Florida, went to South Carolina and won by running the ball. So that's
Well, you play to win the
I hear you.
game, and you in the winning. We were think about this. We were ahead,
Yeah,
people.
I
We were
know.
winning the damn game.
Yeah, true. Hey, Shane, by the way, you mentioned something I want to bring up. I may just inject this. You don't have to be subjected to this. And I'm usually always listening to you and Sean on the trying to sync it up with the broadcast. I happened to catch Joe Tessitore the other night. I don't ever bash announcers. He was nauseating. He was fawning over Missouri like they were, every call was like it was a highlight call. I mean, he just was loud and obnoxious, and he made the wrong call on a touchdown. The one that was ruled not a catch in the end zone, he called it a touchdown. Tessitore gets on my nerves sometimes. I don't complain about announcers. I usually listen to you guys, but boy, I tell you, I've got a lot of comments. People said, "Me, I'm sick and tired of Joe Tessitore. He's like a WWE announcer."
Yeah, well, he does boxing, so
That
okay.
figures.
Justin and King something here on YouTube brought to you by Quality Plumbing, talking about how Billy trusted Max to throw on the fourth down. We had to throw on the fourth down, people, because we were down 9 points in the fourth quarter. You had to go for it. You cannot let him throw the football there. It is complete stupidity if you do. It has nothing to do about trust. It's about winning the football game. We took the lead with less than 2 minutes to go. Okay. All right. I've said enough of that.
You're getting angry, Shane. It's Thanksgiving week.
Because look, you can question Billy should have called this on this play. Billy should have done that.
Right.
Why did we do this? There are certain things, procedural, I like to call it situational football, that you do, and we did it correctly. And unfortunately, they completed a 4th and 17 on us to basically win the game.
All right. Well, I understand why people say that. Look, we don't know football like you do. We just, you're up here at Einstein. We're down here. These people just sort of testing their theories. That's what it is. But sure, of course, I agree with you. He had to throw the football. I think what they're saying, I guess, was he made the call right and play because they're criticizing him for not making the calls right. And for going with the analytic, whatever, there's certain things he's going to do. Sometimes they work out and sometimes they don't. But a young quarterback with no experience, that was a heck of a throw. I thought that was really a heck of a play. That Max impressed me on that one play.
I got a text on the Titan Mar text line from Jim. Jim wants to know, Shane, what has been the problem with our defense the last few years? That's a great question. Our front seven has been below SEC caliber. I thought it was improved this year. I think I was wrong. I don't know. People complain about Armstrong. People complain about Patrick Toney. People complain about Todd Grantham.
How about
Grantham? That's 3 coordinators in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And we've been terrible on that side of the ball.
I'm not sure any better they were with Grantham. Except they line up right. Now we'll give them that. They're lining up right, at least. Make some wrong calls. And the speed of the game, I guess the speed of the game, the way it's got to be called, is more difficult on a less experienced coach. I mean, it just goes so fast. And I don't know why, but I mean, I'm not disappointed with Armstrong. Disappointed in the result he got, but he got it against one of the great players in the game. My gosh, the guy's going to win the Heisman Trophy. You got to be realistic about that kind of stuff.
Matt says on Facebook Live, if Graham comes back next year, we'll have top 2 or 3 quarterback, a top running back, and probably one of the top wide receivers in the nation come back. Look, our skill guys are great, but the issue is the interior alignment. You got to address that. And again, in today's world, you think everybody's coming back, but you don't really know if they are or not. That's what's
you go get some of theirs.
Yeah.
You got money, go get them.
Yeah. Baron wants to know how I would approach the FSU backup if I was the DC. I haven't watched any tape on him. I know they got a lot more tape on him. He's played quite a bit. Would I love to pressure him? Yes, but we blitz a lot and can't get to the quarterback.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. They say your defense hasn't been good since Jeff Collins. Who was Jeff Collins under? Mullen? Or was he under
Spurrier?
No, Jeff Collins. No, Jeff Collins was under McElwain, I think.
The other Collins.
You're thinking of Jim Collins. He was a
I
linebacker
am.
coach.
Yeah, I am. That's what I was thinking of.
All right. So, buddy, what time is it? We're going to get to Graham here in just a second. Any more thoughts on this Florida State game, in your opinion?
I do. I think it's a very winnable game. I think the Swamp's going to be lit. It will be. They're only 6.5-point underdogs, and maybe less than that at kickoff. It's the perfect spot. The Gators pull them up. I mean, want to be one of the sweetest wins ever against FSU. They can hold them to under 30 points, which we'll see. Now, they got a shot here. I think Max Brown will have a big game. Need somebody to step up. The riders, besides the wide receivers, obviously running backs, need to make some defensive play. Make a play on defense. That's what we have to see. And that's what people are complaining about. But here's the other thing, Shane. Just so you know, there are other sports being played out there. And boy, the Gator basketball team, were they impressive or not against FSU? Did you watch that game?
I did not. I just saw the score. They got a big challenge ahead up in New York this week. They play
Pittsburgh. Yeah,
Pitt
but they played great. They played
Baylor.
great.
So,
Shane, you need to catch
those
up
two
with
games will tell you a lot.
Need to catch up with this basketball team because they're
Well,
really
buddy,
fun to
I
watch.
can't help it when the hotels and restaurants don't have SEC Network.
You have a VCR at home, a recorder at home, record it and watch it. It's your job. Bottom line is,
I ain't doing that.
well, I know you like to talk football, and so do I. But the reality is, this is an exciting, fun team to watch. Todd Golden's got something special. Those guys and the squad he's got there. The Zion Pullen, the guard, they brought him in. He makes a whole bunch of difference. They got those tall kids who are playing really good. And obviously, Walter Clayton's a good player. This is a team that's going to be fun to watch. So if you have a hard time with following Florida sports, become a basketball fan, be patient and wait till next year when things will get better. We'll get better, I think. I think they win maybe on Saturday. You go 6-6, get in the bowl. I'm not saying it's all kumbaya, forget about it. It was a tough year. But sooner or later, you're going to have trouble. And Billy's had his fair share of it. Matter of fact, I think it's really been really almost it's been a crucible for Billy himself. And like I said, when I tweeted Saturday night going to bed, the football guys just hate us.
Well, we are what we are because of some silliness that we've caused. We got a couple of texts here, Facebook Lives as well. Collins was with McElwain. He was the one that had that dumb, stupid money down crap. Drove me insane too.
Oh yeah.
We got a text here on the Titan Mar text line from William. He says, "Guys, I'd like to know y'all's thoughts if there will be any changes on the staff at the end of the year."
Yes.
I'll let you go first, buddy.
Yes. He's going to have to change the special teams. He's got to change them. I think if nothing else, they could bring another more experienced defensive coach in to help Armstrong on defense for sure. I don't think Billy gives up any of the quarterback deals and any play calling. To me, it's about the help on defense and finding some way to make plays, get the players to play better on defense, and then of course I think the offense will be okay. I don't think they need a whole lot other than offensive linemen, and they're not falling off the back of dump trucks right now. Hard to get them. So yes, there'll be changes in the and I don't think they may in fact only go with one offensive line coach. I don't know. Although Billy has his thing. So, yes, there'll be changes. To me, the number one thing that has to be changed, they got to get a special teams coach.
Yeah, there will be some changes. I'm pretty sure.
What do you think? Or what
changes? I don't know who. I still do not think they're going to hire an offensive coordinator. I don't think that's.
I don't think
that's necessary.
No, I don't.
There are other bigger fish to fry across the entire staff.
But you said because Billy calls the plays, he can't pay as much attention to the defense. You said that.
Well, but here's the thing, buddy, and I said this on Steve Russell's show yesterday. Okay, the guy we all love, the HBC, he's an offensive coach. So when he was the head coach, he called the plays. When he was at practice, he was never with the defense. Lane Kiffin does not go to the defensive side of the ball at practice. Nick Saban does not go over to the offense at practice. He's over with the defense the whole time. So the reason I'm saying that is because even if you are the CEO, okay, let's just say Billy lets Buddy Martin call the plays next year. Okay. He's not going to call any defense. He may get on the headset and say, blitz them, because that's what Coach Spurrier used to do. Give me the ball back, blitz them right now. Okay. Well, you blitz them and you give up a big play, they're going to blame the defense coordinator. I'm 1,000% against that. Him being the CEO is going to make the offense better. The offense is not the problem. Can people complain about this play call, that play call? Absolutely. You can do it with every coach in America. You can blame Andy Reid, who's one of the greatest of all time last night. I mean, you can do it. That's what football and sports is about, is your opinion, blaming people. But I'm telling you right now, the problem with the Florida Gators has nothing to do with offense.
But there needs to be changes. And you said several times on your show and mine that you question the quality of the analysts they got. You brought it up.
I don't know. I don't know if they are good coaches.
Well, that's
I don't know if the people that have the headsets on are good coaches.
I said you question. I didn't say you criticize.
Yes.
And well, so I think that's a valid point. It's a valid point.
Some of the stuff that has happened on the sideline, yes, Billy's in charge, but everybody has their role. That's what I don't think people realize. Every coach has their role in game management and stuff. And that's why he's got to make changes, in my opinion, because I don't think some of them understand the game situations.
I agree with you 100%. And you said last night that there's no real need to have a Mayday call like they had on changing. Mayday call, that should be built in, right? Baked in.
Well, that I've already discussed that a million times. Real quick, Matt on the Titan of our text line says, I wouldn't have thrown the ball if Mertz was still in the game either. Make them burn their timeouts. My complaint is ETN running out of freaking bounds. Surely our ball coach told them on both previous Mizzou timeouts, do not run out of bounds. Surely he did. He did. I know that for a fact. He just ran out of bounds, though. So it is what it is. All right, buddy, who you got on your show tonight?
The usual Tuesday night crowd. We'll talk about Thanksgiving, and we'll talk about the game, a little bit of basketball, doing our usual thing tonight on the regular Buddy Martin show. Come join us. Glad to have you. And Shane, thanks for having me on again. Appreciate it.
Yes, and buddy, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Enjoy your meal and football and all that good stuff.
I'm going to have some chocolate pie, and because of you, I'm going to have some cranberry. I'm going to say, this is for Shane right here.
Well, hang on a second. What do you do with that cranberry? Do you just eat it plain, or do you mix it with your stuff?
You can make a cranberry salad, which is really good. You got nuts in it and stuff. But I leave it plain. I like cranberry, and it's never complete without it. My late wife used to love it and eat it a lot. So yeah, I do like cranberry. I love Thanksgiving. I'm going to eat my way out of house and home, and I'll roll on the floor and watch football.
Greg wants to know, how do I know that for a fact, Shane? Greg, I just trust me on this, Greg. I know for a fact that there were 2 timeouts taken. They tell them over there, you stay in bounds. You do not fight ever for extra yards in that situation. You do not try to break tackles.
You go down on the ball.
Yes. And I know for a fact, Greg. Let's just leave it at that, okay?
I believe you. I believe you, QB. I believe you.
Buddy, it's not that I mean, I know what was said on the sideline. So
you heard it. Someone told you.
I know.
Your sources. Just say my sources told me.
Okay, my sources.
There you go.
And Greg, I'm not assuming. I know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Real quick, Neil wants to know, do I think Montreal Johnson has enough draft stock to leave after this year? I don't know the answer to that. I think Montreal's a really good running back. I think people don't realize how good a back he is. People want to talk about going. It's so hard to make it in the NFL. I mean, think about it. You have all thousands and thousands of these college players. And if you watch on Sundays, a lot of these guys come from really small schools that you've never heard of, because they will find you for a good player. I'm not sure Montreal. I mean, he may make it a couple years in the NFL. He's a powerful runner. He has great feet. We'll see, but I think he comes back. I don't know if I answered you.
No, all right, fair enough. By the way, my man tonight is David Whitley. Tune us in at 9 o'clock.
All right, that's Buddy Martin. Join us on the Titan Tomorrow hotline, and we're going to take a quick timeout. We come back. We'll have Graham Hall talk a little recruiting, see who's going to be here this weekend, how the Gator recruiting class looks,
and how many more players they might lose because of the record. Be sure and ask him that.
I'll ask him that. All right, buddy.
All
Have
right.
a good day. We're going to
Thanks,
take a
Shay.
quick
You
time
too.
out. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Campus USA, put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, watch. Duffield Home Improvements for your window, siding, and roofing needs. Radware, your local provider of promotional products, uniforms, and apparel. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Radware, F45, Quality Plumbing. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Q Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Silverback Concrete's a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that build commercial structure with unrivaled quality. Silverback Concrete, you stand on it, we stand by it. Going to go back to the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Duffield Home Improvements, and we're joined by Graham Hall, 24/7 Sports. How you doing, my man?
Doing well, Shane. Thanks for having me, man. Final week of the season. Exciting one for sure. Florida's still looking at bowl eligibility, and they have a chance to do it without Jordan Travis, even though the loss of Graham Mertz certainly hurts. I'll say that, man.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting game. Real quick before we jump into it, King on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, why didn't Napier chew ETN out when he ran out of bounds? That's just not that's not Billy Napier. And then Robert says, if you saw Billy's reaction, that said it all. Billy, if you ever listen to his press conferences or any of his interviews, he will not throw a coach under the bus, and he will never throw a player under the bus. And he learned that from Nick Saban. All right, Graham, let's do this first before we talk about the Gators and making some changes at the quarterback and things of that nature. We had somebody ask a question here, recruiting-wise. Let me find it real quick for you. Well, I don't know where it went now. They'll have to send it. They'll have to resend it. I can't find it. Tell us who should the Gator fans expect to see at this game?
Yeah, a lot of Florida commits are going to be in town for this game. LJ McCray, obviously. Miles Graham is going to be back, of course. You know, now a Gainesville native, really easy for him to come to the game. A lot of Florida's commits in this class are going to be here, including their 2025 commitment in Waltez. That certainly is something that you're going to see at every single game here. Florida's list, though, for this weekend may have taken a little bit of a hit over the last couple of weeks, just based on the on-field results and just how some things have shaken out. I think there are certainly some big names to watch here for guys that could be on campus. One is going to be Charles Lester III. He's committed to Florida State. He's someone that Florida has worked hard to get back into his recruitment as well. They've consistently been in contact with him, and it's someone that they feel good about, even if he doesn't end up flipping, as a guy that they may have a chance to flip down the line. That's certainly someone to watch in this class. And then, Xavier Mincy is a really big one as well. He's LJ McCray's teammate at Mainland High School in Daytona, one of the top defensive backs in this class. It's really interesting. Florida views him as a corner at the next level, even though some programs are, scouting him as a safety, and that's the position he played a good bit in high school. Corey Raymond views him as a corner, but that's going to be a difficult battle, keeping him away from maybe Miami, maybe FSU. Those are two teams that may have an edge in his recruitment right now. You would think that having LJ McCray here could help get Xavier Mincy in this class, but I don't really know if that's going to be a huge factor for him. Florida's, with some momentum on their side. If they get a win here, if they find an edge in his recruitment, they could end up getting Xavier Mincy, especially, they lose Wardell Mack a week ago. So there is a need there at the position. Those are certainly some guys to watch right now. One more is Dalen Evans. That name may be familiar to some people. He's committed to Texas A&M. Actually may have backed off that commitment. I'm not too sure. I'm not following recruiting every single day here, especially at other programs, but he's a guy who, given the situation at Texas A&M, he may be more open, to some other programs like Florida right now. The interesting thing, though, and the unfortunate thing for him, of course, is that he had a knee injury last week that is going to require surgery. So depending on his surgical plans for this week, that's going to determine whether he's able to make the visit or not. So there's certainly some guys to watch right there in that class, but notably not any massive names that are on flip watch or commit watch for the Gators right now.
We just got a text on the Titan Mar text line from a gentleman in the 386 area code. It says the rumor is they are going to break the bank to bring in quality linemen on both sides of the ball. Have you heard that?
I haven't heard that, but I think that, whatever that means, that would be wise to do. You obviously need to win at the line of scrimmage, and I think that Florida certainly can improve in that regard on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, that's the number one priority in my opinion. All right, looking at this game, obviously it's bizarre now. Jordan Travis being out, Graham Mertz being out. Obviously, I think Max came in and did a really good job running the offense. I think you got to give a lot of credit to Billy Napier for having him ready to play for a guy who hadn't really played at all. What do you think the Gators need to do offensively with Max Brown in this game?
Well, I think limit turnovers is obviously a massive one. I don't think he's as strong of a passer as Graham Mertz. I think that his confidence is a little bit lower as a passer for sure. I don't think he goes through his progressions as quickly. He certainly is not as poised in the pocket. So I think you're going to have an offense that is, conducive to his skill set. You're going to give him a chance to run some play action, which Florida has utilized a good bit this season. I think you're going to allow him to get out of the pocket, and some design quarterback runs are certainly a factor, but you have to look at the situation now with quarterback. I mean, he's your healthy guy, and behind him, you've got Jack Miller, who knows what his situation is, just where he's been at over the last year, coming back from injury, losing his backup job to Max Brown. Certainly something to watch, I think, with him, but you may have to try and protect this guy, even though it is the last game of the season here. You don't want to, I think, affect his confidence long-term, have him take some hits, but they have to use his mobility. I think that, as you saw in the fourth quarter against Missouri, that is absolutely an asset for this team. I think that if they can, get some throws to the boundary and he can be effective in the passing game in some scenarios, I think that's a best case scenario thing, but he does not give you, I think, the full use of the playbook like Graham Mertz has. I think that Florida's going to have to fine tune their playbook around what he does well right now. And that's intermediate throws, short throws, getting outside the pocket, throwing on the run. If he can do that, I think that Florida can have some success on offense.
So Greg says, so Miller's the backup. I think Michael Leon is the backup, because I don't even think Jack Miller made the trip last week. I think Micah has been the guy. So we just got a text on the Titan Mar text line from George. He says, Graham, any rumors of any players hitting the portal on the 4th?
I mean, for sure, but I wouldn't really, preemptively go out and try and ruin those guys' decisions. You always this time of year, you want to see guys finish strong with the team, right? You kind of hate hearing when someone has already got one foot out the door. I think that can lead to some anger within the fan base that someone is already checked out or ready to go. And so putting those decisions out, just angers, I think, the fan base of a program. So until something is solid or a guy really announces, I try and avoid putting out a lot of rumors of just about, who is maybe leaving, who is maybe returning right now. That in the social media era, that those decisions can be made by the players. They can go out there and announce that stuff on their own. You saw Billy Napier yesterday. He was asked about Graham Mertz's decision, and he said just that. We're going to let him announce what his decision is. He's earned that right, obviously. With all that said, the coaches know. They know who they're going to have to replace after the season here, because they're going to have to know who to identify in the portal. And they have a good idea of who maybe isn't coming back based on situations like playing time and role at Florida and who they've potentially been communicating with already. So, there's always rumors here, and I don't want to put out any names about who could potentially be out the door, just knowing that nothing is really done. You may still see some of those guys come back next year. So we'll know very, very soon. Just, we got to focus on the end of the season here.
Yeah. Speaking of that, kind of let everybody know, and I don't even know the answer to this. Let's use me as the player. Let's say I'm playing for the Gators, whether I'm a starter or whatever. December 4th, you can enter your name into the transfer portal. Let's say I am a starter. I go into the portal, and obviously most of this stuff is money generated these days. Let's be honest. Do I have an opportunity for Florida to offer me, once I'm in the portal, to come back X amount of dollars? How does, just kind of briefly tell us how all that works?
Yeah. So the portal is absolutely a leverage tool, I think, for a lot of players. If you potentially are going to enter the portal, I think, if it's with your own team, if you're opting to enter the portal, you probably have talked with your program before to try and navigate getting some additional NIL resources, right, to return before you put your name into the portal, because programs don't really want that, especially if it's someone that they are trying to get back. They prefer to, handle that situation behind closed doors before you officially announce that you're leaving the program, that you're entering the portal. Because once you've actually officially entered the portal, if you do it December 4th, right, and say you still have to finish taking some classes at UF for the next 2 weeks, and you got to finish out, if you're about to graduate this month, you are at risk of losing your financial aid, even if it's just for 2 weeks. If you enter the transfer portal, a program can take you off scholarship immediately, withdraw aid, not let you into the dining hall. That is absolutely a threat that every program has at their disposal. So you would try and avoid that, both parties, because you don't want this to become a public thing, if there even is a chance that you may return to the program. So I think that absolutely is a massive thing. But to what you're saying, players use the threat of entering the portal all the time. That happens at every single program. Players are always saying to coaches, listen, I need to play, or I'm going to enter the portal, or so-and-so is making this much money. If I maybe left somewhere and went to Georgia or Alabama, I could be making 3 times what I'm making here. I'm going to enter the portal unless I get a better deal. That happens all the time. And that is a reason why players enter the portal.
Yeah. Radware is a family-owned business that prides itself in excellent customer service while providing quality and affordable promotional products and customized apparel. Speaking with Graham Hall from 24/7 Sports on the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Duffield Home Improvements. All right, defense. First of all, we got a couple of texts here wanting your thoughts. Do you think there are staff changes at the end of the year?
I do think so. Yeah, I think that Billy Napier has strongly alluded to that by saying that any changes are going to happen in the offseason. I think that he has said things like, we can consistently evaluate the structure of our coaching staff. I think that you will see some changes. The the calls and the criticism have been too hot, for him to make some changes. And I wrote about this the other day when, him being the offensive play caller opens him up to, I think, additional avenues for scrutiny that other head coaches don't experience, right? When your offense isn't running well and you're the head coach, but you're not the play caller, people are calling for the head coach to make a change at that position. They're not calling for the head coach's head or criticizing their coaching ability or their in-game management ability. That is something that I think if I'm Billy Napier, I would not want to open myself up to at a higher rate already. I mean, the Florida job already comes with a high profile, a lot of scrutiny. And if you can shield yourself from some of that by being more of a CEO and delegating and not having to face criticism about your offensive play calling, especially where everything is done in retrospect and it's easier to criticize in hindsight than understand in the moment what a coach was thinking or give the opposing defense some credit. I don't think a head coach really wants to do that at a high rate. You're seeing more and more that head coaches are accepting that CEO job. They're letting go of the belief that they need to validate themselves by being play callers as well and quarterback coaches. And I think that Billy Napier understands that he's going to have to limit his exposure to some criticism. And I think that's one way to do that. And I also do think that you'll have an on-field coach be tasked with special teams, kind of like it was a few years ago, how Billy Napier did it at Louisiana as well. I think that's something that makes a lot of sense.
So I want to go back to, because I'm one who's against him hiring an offense coordinator. The only reason, because I don't think it's that big a deal, because if let's just say he's the CEO right now of this football team, where does the problem lie? Defense. So him being the CEO, I don't know how that's going to help the defense. Look, we've been good enough on offense, but I'm with you, Graham, because you can question. I said this earlier. You can question everybody's play calling. The Chiefs fans are calling into their shows tonight questioning what Andy Reid did last night, right? We've averaged over 30 points a game in SEC play, and could we be better? Absolutely, we could. But I don't know, with him being the CEO, how that's going to help the biggest issue on the football team, and that's stopping people or just slowing them down. So that's just my 2 cents. But I hear what you're saying. It'll take some pressure off of him from the outside. But it's amazing to me how, like I said on Monday's show, which was yesterday, I probably had over 500 texts and messages. 95% of them were about the offense. And I'm like, what are y'all watching? But anyway, that's just my 2 cents. Graham, from an injury standpoint, I know this team is banged up, especially with the big guys, linebackers. Anybody coming back for this game?
I don't think so. I think that guys like Caleb Douglas, Jonathan Odom, they're probably done for the year. We'll have to see about Kingsley for sure. It being his last home game, I know that he would like to play against Florida State. Go back to SEC Media Days. Kingsley said that, this is a game he had circled on his calendar. He does not like FSU. He would obviously like to play rather than be injured and rest up for his final game. Obviously, it's a tough injury for sure. I think that Jake Slaughter has performed pretty admirably in his place, but Kingsley's the guy who would love to play in that game. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if Austin Barber ends up playing. As everyone saw, he's got his left arm in a sling. I don't know if he ends up playing in this game. And defensively, you're not really going to maybe get anyone back except for Devin Moore. I think Devin Moore could play in this game. Obviously suffered a concussion a little over a week and a half ago. If you're Jaden Daniels, obviously you can come back from a concussion in 4 days. I don't know if that's something that Devin Moore is going to be able to do in this home game, but it looks like that's tracking in the right direction for him. We'll have to end up seeing, he obviously could have a setback at the end of the week here. So really no major players for Florida that are going to be able to return in this game. Obviously, you're going to have to go with Max Brown and missing some offensive linemen against a top-ranked team in the country.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be a tough challenge, but I like our chances in the swamp. I liked them even if everybody would have been healthy, both quarterbacks and what have you. Florida State has not impressed me at all this year. They've struggled against some bad ACC teams. So we'll see. Graham, were you at the basketball game the other night?
I was. It was an awesome game. I mean, Florida played at such a high level. Really wanted to, I think, prove it to people that they're a better team than they've shown these first couple games. Because if you go back to those scrimmages when they had Zion pulling, they were, looking really, really good. They were very, very confident about the way that they had played. And you get Zion pulling, who's your best on-ball defender at the guard spot back. You get Walter Clayton to slide over to the 2 guard spot. You end up running out, Riley Kugel, Will Richard in some smaller lineups than we've seen. And that front court, I think, is living, up to their internal expectations and exceeding outside expectations with the additions of guys like Alex Condon and Thomas Ha. That, I mean, you could have turned that game off at halftime. That was an absolute beatdown of a rival team that is not as good as some FSU teams we've seen previously. But anytime you can, beat the pants off an in-state rival, it's got to feel really good, right?
Yeah, there's no question about that. Someone asked her, Kingsley's a redshirt junior. Why is it his last game? I thought he was a senior as well. Speaking of it's senior day, how many players are we going to have come out of the tunnel on senior day? Not many, right?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm really interested to find out, because you could obviously have guys who are fourth-year guys who are graduating, right? Because this is how Florida does it, is if you're going to graduate in fall or in the following spring, you can take part in senior day. And it used to be you could really track who was going to be one of those guys up there. Now with the COVID year and everything like that, guys who have already graduated, fourth-year guys or are about to graduate next year, can take part in senior day. So that means, yeah, obviously Kingsley can take part. Princely Umenmielen can take part. You have guys like Jaden Hill, obviously, who are going to be able to take part. Anyone who's about to graduate and go back to last year, you had redshirt sophomores, guys like Will Harrod, who took part in senior day. If they know it's going to be their last game with the program, even if they're not completely out of eligibility, you usually see programs allow them to take part if they're going to graduate within the next 8 months. That's just how I've heard it be done. And I think that's how it's going to be done on Saturday, where they're going to honor some guys who they know are playing their last games in Gainesville, even if they aren't completely out of eligibility. And that's just how things are in the post-COVID transfer portal era.
Yeah. So, but I'm thinking just offensively, the only starter that I can think of would be Ricky Pearsall, right?
Ricky Pearsall, right?
Yeah.
Pretty wild. I think it speaks to Florida's youth, which we've talked about all the time throughout the season here. They talk about, how many freshmen play, but, talk about how many non-seniors are playing on this team. I mean, guys with eligibility that can come back. I mean, you have a chance to return 95% of your starting rotation this year. That is very, very promising for the horizon, but, doesn't really help right now.
Right. And as you said, that sounds great 10 years ago, but a lot of those starters can enter their name into that portal December the 4th. Hey, when does the portal close? It goes from December 4th to when?
That's a good question. The portal is pretty much open for the next, I believe 45 days from the start of the 4th, and then it's going to be open really for players. I think the key date is there's a date in the second week of February where if you haven't entered your name into the portal by then, you can't transfer to another SEC school and be immediately eligible. I got to check, but I believe that's the second week of February. And that's what makes some of those dates so critical, where if you have an SEC player, someone at Florida or Auburn or Georgia, if they enter the portal after that date, they have to go out of the conference. Now, I think that rule will eventually change, but right now, that's the way it's set up.
Yeah, I have a feeling the portals. I read some article the other day. I can't remember who the coach was. He says it's going to be nuts this year in the portal. So, Graham, good stuff as always, buddy. Let them know how they can follow you on Twitter and read all your good stuff.
Yeah, Twitter at Graham Hall. Swamp247.com is the website. Make sure you check it out. Tons of recruiting content from Blake Alderman coming. Anything I didn't answer, he definitely will have the information to in the next week. If you're not a member right now, starting on Black Friday, we're running a 75% off an annual deal. That's like $26 for the whole year. You can't beat that anywhere else. So make sure you take advantage if you're not a member, and got to be back here pretty soon. And we'll talk end of the season and all this roster shakeup that everyone loves so much in the transfer portal NIL era, right?
No doubt. Graham, good stuff, buddy. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you Saturday.
Likewise, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Take care out there.
That's Graham Hall. Join us on the Titan Tomorrow hotline. Real quick, let's get to This Day in Sports, brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. In 1925, Red Grange played his final game for the University of Illinois and signed with the Chicago Bears. That's This Day in Sports, brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Hope you enjoyed today's show. Again, thanks to Graham Hall and Buddy Martin. Join us on the Titan Tomorrow hotline, courtesy of Duffield Home Improvements. Have a great day, folks. We'll see you tomorrow.